Hello, friends.
Здравствуйте.
We're glad to welcome you at our New Year's Eve meeting. So, a whole year has passed, and we decided to invite you again for New Year's Control. Last year,
Прошедшем
2024,
2024
we
году
had a lot of
у
good
нас было
events.
много хороших
Hundreds of
событий.
followers of Grigory
Сотни
Grabovoi's teachings
последователей учения
from
Григория
different
Гробовой
countries
из разных
took
стран
part in courses in
приняли
the
участие
classroom
на
with
курсе
22
в классе с
interconnected
22
PRK1U
взаимосвязанными
devices
приборами
organized by Grigory
ПРК-1 U,
Grabovoi's company
организованной
in
компанией
Serbia
Григория
in
Гробовой в
Belgrade.
Сербии, в
And
Белграде.
in May,
В
these have
мае это
already
уже были
been
классы с
classes with
23
23
приборами,
devices,
так как в
since the
связку с добавкой приборов
PRK1UM device
ПРК-1
was added to the
U,
bundle.
а
And in
конкретно наши
December,
занятия
we had
проходили на
classes with
25 приборами
25
различных
devices for
концентраций и
developing the
жизни
concentration
с
of
отчетами о
eternal life.
замечательных результатах,
You can find
которых эти
reports on the
события
remarkable
на официальном
results on
сайте
the
Григория
official
Гробовой.
website of
Ссылка
Grigory
на сайт
Grabovoi.
в тексте под
The
видео.
link to the website will be in the text below the video. For the upcoming New Year and Christmas, we decided to decorate the unique Christmas tree again with the help of control concentrations. For those who haven't watched our last year's video or want to admire the unique Christmas tree again, a link to last year's control will be below this video. And if last year we decorated our Christmas tree with number series, then this year it will be wise, very important quotes. After all, the teachings of Grigory Petrovich Grabovoi are not only number series, they are a multitude of technologies for controlling reality with the help of one's consciousness, soul, and spirit. Even just thoughtfully reading Grigory Grabovoi's lectures, a person already manages according to the creative goal he needs. In the lecture, Grigory Grabovoi is teaching about God, technologies of teaching in eternal life. We read, it is necessary, among other things, and sometimes texts mainly, well, to read as they are written. That is, in fact, in the very writing of the text in my textbooks, if you just read them, this is already a technology. After all, the texts are built on the description of technologies. And in the lecture of May 17, 2001, the teachings of Grigory Grabovoi, he says, each phrase of my teachings, each separate segmental system, firstly, really saves in itself and gives a system of harmonious development towards eternal development. But the complex teachings also give the entire apparatus extended to all levels of consciousness, to any elements of external and internal events. That is why today, while decorating our Christmas tree, we are simultaneously realizing our goals and dreams. And now we are preparing to be attentive to the wording from the lectures. Grigory Petrovich says, it is desirable to do so that this control comes simultaneously from the level of action with the Creator. When you see the action of God and act with Him simultaneously, then almost everything is resolved before you. Maybe there are some complex questions, or it seems that in a certain given situation, they are not always solvable questions immediately. But nevertheless, God gives a resolution to this question already in the current time. You begin to feel that everything is fine because, according to such divine truth, along the divine path, you, together with God, will always resolve all these questions. That is, we do together with the Creator, and we tune in to do the way the Creator does. Grigory Petrovich Grabovoi said, the Creator created everyone. If there is thinking, then there is the presence of the Creator, but the presence already through your thinking, for example, including direct thinking naturally. But it is important for the Creator to make everyone free and give the same tools of action as the Creator does. Then everything will be creative and there is no possibility, for example, to destroy. And of course, we start with macro salvation. By doing personal control through macro salvation, you simply solve the problem faster. While you can simply solve it, go into the field of macro salvation and single out the right solution for yourself. And that's it. It's already there. Therefore, now do such an action in the form of, well, just optical levels of illumination. Look at the numerical series. Let there be a set of numbers in front of you. Macro salvation, control for specific tasks, well, your personal tasks, that is three levels. And just take the level that corresponds to the personal task. Highlight in the salvation everyone, just take it from there, just as if do such an action. And as soon as you took and imposed on your task, you solved it. Now, do such control. I will work with you, says Grigory Petrovich, and now he's also working with us on a spiritual level. I would draw your attention to the fact that we all and our Christmas tree are on earth. And the earth is designed solely for people to live. That is, all the manifestations of the earth in terms of, for example, the external structure, the structure of interaction, yes, with the external space, in the structure of divine development, are aimed at ensuring that a person lives. And first of all, the earth is created for eternal life. That's why we wish everyone eternal life. Non dying is a method of preventing a global catastrophe, because the point here is precisely that when we set up the ideology of eternal life, we don't create at least weapons ourselves. And secondly, the mechanism of non dying provides for complete self regeneration and control over all outer space. Therefore, this is a method of preventing a global catastrophe, one of the methods, so to speak. When, namely, a distant strategic task is a person's goal, maybe not all people immediately unambiguously differentiate this goal, but at least eternal life is a fairly simple goal. And for example, if this goal is tracked as a kind of beacon in control, then human thinking is superimposed on God's thinking, as if from the inside. For example, there is a sphere of thinking, and if you extend your thinking from the inside to the thinking of God, then it turns out that, namely, eternal life is attainable by a particular person because he has practically merged with the level of God in thinking. That is, God's thinking and his thinking are one and the same in terms of information. That is, it turns out that if there is at least one segment of the same type, then the whole system becomes of the same type. A person becomes eternal. Well, in order to live forever, you need to be perfectly healthy. Therefore, we wish everyone good health. I'll read out an excerpt from the lecture and we'll do everything simultaneously. So, you can act all the time. And it turns out that your own, yes, your physical form now, as a human being, it is essentially a form of action. That is, returning to the level of perception of one's own physical form, it is a level of endless action, but of yours. That is, your physical body. It is a macro action, it turns out. That is, when you start to see yourself from here, it turns out that, generally speaking, there are no problems in having, yes, a normal health, because It's enough in endless action, in endless development, to single out some fraction of the norm and get from there just a light control element for yourself. And it turns out that you just have a norm, for example, of health. And we also wish everyone happiness. If you need an extreme level, as if an one time level of instant action, that is, let's say, so that some kind of catastrophe doesn't happen there, for example, a car crash, yes, or a plane crash, then you need a level of happiness, that is, namely in optical terms, taking as if the sphere of happiness and by a volitional effort better from the side of the heart, bringing it out near the object. That is, there a person no longer differentiates already. He simply knows what he is doing. He is bringing out the level, namely, of happiness, of a happy action, or a happy outcome, yes, so to speak, exactly what comes from you and the outcome of the situation itself. That is, what comes from you and the outcome here are equalized systems, just as human happiness and God's happiness are equalized systems according to macro salvation, firstly, so to speak. And it turns out that you can see that in this way you regulate the situation. That is, your happy knowledge of the outcome is enough, and the knowledge regulates the situation. Let's bring out and fix the spheres of happiness not only on our Christmas tree, but also near each person who will watch this video. And of course, we wish you all love. So, for example, the world is based on love, and to unpack more there as a rule, it doesn't seem to be any kind of quick opportunity here unless it's about real love. Therefore, when a person loves, he acts almost immediately the way the Creator acts, and immediately the way God acts. Therefore, it turns out that an action in love is an action fundamental, so to speak, that is, simultaneously affects all issues of personality and the whole world at one point in a kind of compressed, concentrated consciousness. The foundation of the world is love, given by God initially to everyone. It is present in everyone personally at the structure of his action. That is, it's possible to heal with love. It's possible to make a specific decision completely freely. The main thing is freedom of decision. May you have only joyful events in the new year. The world was originally built on a feeling of joy, on real love, and it turns out the love of God, the love of all the elements of the world there. And it turns out that when we start to see this construction, it's enough to mentally understand where to interact with God in order to get a sense of joy. Well, that is, to put it simply, that is, relatively speaking, the to mentally say hello or really or how to perceive him, right, with vision, or how to understand his tasks. And a sense of joy is the defining concept here. Joy is the path to a normal life. Yes, it is in prayer that a person defines exactly this state, or they're in control, and gets exactly the norm, because it is namely this feeling of free joy, a feeling of free inner joyful development, when the whole world, as it were, viewed as a level where you go to God inside the world, it turns out. And with joy, luck always comes. It is namely in joy that you can create such rapid thinking, where exactly the parameters of thinking are joyful. They are not fixed, for example, on some problems. And you begin to think quickly, let's say successfully, right? Luck is the next characteristic of event based sensory perception. And then you start to see that the concept of luck is, in general, a controlled space that is formed, of course, nevertheless, it exists in the form of information, this system, which is called, for example, luck, right? And from luck, it becomes joyful, or from some kind of action, it becomes joyful, and so on. In other words, it turns out that you can easily use such concepts as joy, luck, and some good events there. And here it turns out that you begin to understand in general how the personality of God is organized in terms of, for example, physical development. So here it turns out the concentration of joy should be such that he acts, for example, on everyone, right? The same way on himself, and at the same time teaches a man to act the same way. Therefore, we will put both joy and luck on our Christmas tree. And may everyone do as much good as possible. The principle used here is that it was enough for God first to set the task of realizing eternal life, and that's it. And this life is realized eternal for everyone. That is, in this world, at a fundamental level, and it turns out in all the consequences, the best is always realized. This is how the world was conceived by God, and this is how it is realized. And so, it turns out, well, that's exactly good. All the signs of good, they will become more and more established in the world. Goodness means life. It is the realization of eternal life. We have a beautiful Christmas tree. May the light of this knowledge spread all over the world, helping and saving people and the whole earth. The teachers of the Grigori Grabovoi Education Center congratulate everyone on the upcoming New Year and Christmas and wish everyone eternal and harmonious life. Happy New Year!